native people of the Andes brought forth a legend they call the legend of the eagle and the condor. And it basically, the legend said that the condor symbolizes the native people of South America. The eagle symbolizes native people of North America. And they were prophesied to meet. And when they met again, there would be a new era of liberation and freedom in the Western Hemisphere. Now, I added the Quetzal bird to this legend, and that's where where the name of my show comes from, Eagle, Quetzal, Condor. And the reason I added the Quetzal bird is because I just had this vision of the Quetzal bird from Central America, the Mayan peoples, sacred to them, coming up from the Zapatista movement and rising up in spirals to meet the eagle and the condor, to make sure that they connected and help to guide them to find each other, because this is a big continent. And I think the Zapatistas did that, and that's why I had to add their sacred bird, the Quetzal, to this name, Eagle, Quetzal, Condor. My show tries to put forth a vision of a new civilization here in the Western Hemisphere based on indigenous values. And when I say indigenous, I don't mean just the native people here, but all of the indigenous values around the world. So people who are from Europe, who a lot of you think you don't even have a culture anymore, you do. And you have an indigenous culture based on Wicca, based on goddess worship, and those are indigenous to your lands, and you can go back to those values, and then you can consider yourself indigenous. But more important than now that you're in this new land, we native people would like to welcome you again and ask you to basically become indigenous here. Instead of pledging your allegiance to this government, the United States, which has only been here for a short time in our long history, pledge your allegiance to Mother Earth. Pledge to take care of the earth, to defend it, to live in harmony with it, and to live in balance with all of the creatures that you share this planet with, the plant nations, the animal nations. Respect them, live in harmony with them. And if you can do that in your everyday life as best that you can, we don't expect you to be perfect, to go live in a teepee or live out in the woods, but wherever you are, to do the best that you can to live your life according to these basic principles of our society here in the Western Hemisphere, we will welcome you too as indigenous, as our brothers and sisters. You know, it's like we still have what I called spiritual immigration policy, so to speak. As long as you respect our values, as long as you respect the earth and pledge yourself to live in harmony with the earth, then we welcome you into this new land. And those of you that don't want to do that, well, maybe you can get on a spaceship to Mars or someplace. But I'm just kidding. I think that everyone can really understand that those indigenous values are also shared by Greens and bioregionalists and other people who are trying to make this world a better place. So I'm saying that all of us can become indigenous, but we have to change our thinking. Change, as Daniel Quinn would say, we have to convince people to change their mind. And you have to start living differently. And that means noticing where your water comes from, noticing where your waste goes, noticing what bioregion you live in. You know, right now we live in the Gulf of Maine bioregion. It's related to the sea. So see those connections and see that all life here in this country is sacred. And if you can do that, we will welcome you. And you can become our allies. And one of the things that you need to do also is to make sure that the history you teach your children is accurate. So do not celebrate this man, Columbus, as a great hero, but also recognize that he was a man who set in a process of genocide that lasted for several hundred years, and to a certain extent, as recently as the 1980s, when the genocide of the Mayan people happened under the Reagan administration, when 100,000 Mayan people were slaughtered in this war, supported by the U.S., and entire villages are wiped out. So we live in a country that has a history of racism and genocide and slavery of African American people, but we don't have to continue living that way. We just have to change your mind and change the way you think, and you too will become indigenous, and then we will welcome you. Thank you.